back to the channel, you Rebel Scum. On today's Rebels themed review, we're taking a closer look at the vintage collection Zeb Orrelios figure. Now, I know this figure's been out for a few months now, but I just recently managed to get one for myself thanks to our amazing sponsor, Big Bad Toy Store. So if you end up liking this figure as much as I liked this figure, make sure to head over to Big Bad Toy Store today to get yours. But please finish the rest of this review before you do that. This Garazeb Orrelios is a deluxe release, which means he comes in one of the plastic-free packaging boxes. As beautiful as the artwork is, and Hasbro has really done an amazing job with the dioramas on these style of boxes, I still prefer the carded presentation of vintage collection figures. I just prefer to see the figure I am actually getting, rather than a staged and edited image. This style packaging is especially frustrating when you find the figure in a store, only to return home to misaligned paint apps, or even worse, a swapped figure. But I digress. It seems like Hasbro has heard the collecting community regarding PFP, and hopefully it will be fully phased out in the very near future. The Rebels logo is displayed prominently at the top, but the card back is missing its classic name pill style in lieu of simply listing the character's name in black lettering. We see Zeb in a cool action pose, holding his bow rifle with a diorama cityscape behind him. The diorama and figure itself are based off the Season 1 episode called Fight or Flight, featuring the infamous Melu Run. We've got the classic Kenner logo at the bottom as always, and a neat sunburst image of Zeb holding his other bow accessory. On the back of the box, we see the same image of Zeb from the front, as well as a smaller image showing Zeb and his accessories, and of course, the Vintage Collection Star Wars logo right there. There are also two smaller images on the sides of the box. On the first side, we see the Star Wars Rebels logo, along with an image of Zeb holding his bow rifle. And on the other side, we see his bow staff extended and resting on his shoulder. Moving on to the figure itself, I just want to start out by saying the level of detail is astounding. The sculpting is next level, combined with the paint apps and excellent articulation. This may very well be one of the best figures we've gotten in a long while. Let's zoom in on his face for a second, and we can see how detailed all of the sculpt work is. The details on his ears and beard look sharp, and the paint app on his eyes genuinely makes them look like they are glowing. His ears are made out of a little bit more flexible plastic, so there's no worry of chipping or breaking them. Moving along to the body of the figure, you can really see what I mean about the details. The ruffles in his fur, for example, with the dark purple stripes over top, just look absolutely incredible. I love the blue lined graffiti on his shoulder armor, and also the few hits of orange paint on his gauntlet and on his belt, which also has some silver there. That one doesn't, but silver on his belt there. He comes with a few accessories, including his bow rifle, extended bow staff, and two little purple energy pieces that easily fit on the end of the bow staff. I gotta say, I really appreciate that Hasbro included two of these in this figure, as opposed to just, one, like we would typically get in a non-deluxe release. I don't know that two pieces warrants calling it a deluxe figure, but I am very appreciative that two accessories come in this just for better posability, playability, and, use with different scenes. If you flip the figure around, you'll see two little holes on Zeb's back for holding either version of the weapon. Both accessories have these pins, so they can easily attach on the back, and the pins are on either side of the accessory, so you can put it in whichever orientation you prefer. As far as articulation is concerned, his head is double ball jointed, which means it has a insane range of motion. Unlike the Cad Bane figure that we reviewed recently, it doesn't have any obstruction to his head. Cad had those tubes coming out back, so it was really hard for him to tweak his head in far left or right directions. So it's really nice to see this Zeb, stare at the sky or stare at his toes. His arms have ball hinge shoulders that can do a full 360. The figure is also sculpted to allow the shoulder armor to slide up under the chest plate. So that's a nice touch to help increase the range of motion. He has hinges on his elbow and a nice swivel. And his wrists both have a hinge and a swivel as well. Moving on to his legs, he has barbell hips, a swivel thigh, a 90-degree bend for his knee, and both a swivel piece here, which is quite large due to how his feet are designed, and the classic rocker ankle. He also has a decent ab crunch and an insane range of motion here, so you're going to be able to get this figure into some amazing poses. Now for a size comparison, because we all know Zeb is a big dude in the show, how does this figure look standing side by side with Hera and Sabine? As you can see, thankfully, we don't have another Balin Skull Shin Hati Black Series situation on our hands, as I feel like Hasbro got the scaling just right and these figures look great side by side. Well, I think that about does it for my Zeb Orrelios Vintage Collection review. This Season 1 version absolutely knocks it out of the park, and I genuinely can't think of a single issue with the figure itself. That said, you all know how I feel about plastic-free packaging, so I would prefer this figure to have been on a regular card back. But who knows, maybe Hasbro will re-release one after the Ghost finally ships. Let me know if you think that might be possible in the comments. Thanks as always for sticking around to the end, and if you liked this review, make sure to like and subscribe to both the Rebel Scum and Turntable to the Dark Side channels today. Thanks again, fellow collectors, and until our next review, may the Force be with you.